Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo 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 Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottama.
Naram Chaiva Narottama.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasa.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Tato Jaram Udirayet.
Tato Jayam Udirayet.
Nasta Prayeshu Abradeshu.
Nastaprayeshu Adreshu.
Nityam Bhagavatam Sevayam.
Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhakti Bhavanti Naistiki.
Bhakti Bhagavati Naistiki.
So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 5, Text 47. 48. Yeah. Navama Kalma Kalpopi.
Navama Karma Kalpopi. Vipala
Yeswara Pita.
Vipalaya Ishvara Pitaha.
Kalpate Purushasya.
Kalpate Purushasya.
Sahi Atma Daito Hita.
Sahi Atma Daito Hita.
Activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if performed imperfectly, even if performed in small measure, never go in vain. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being the Supreme Father, is naturally very dear and always ready to act for the good of the living entities. Please repeat after me. Activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
Activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead,
even if performed in small measure,
even if performed in small measure,
never go in vain.
never go in vain.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead,
The Supreme Personality of Godhead,
being the Supreme Father,
being the Supreme Father,
is naturally very dear
is naturally very dear
and always ready to act
and always ready to act
for the good of the living entities.
for the good of the living entities.
Wow. So, are we not in good hands? We are always in good hands. Unfortunately, we are very rebellious and we are getting out. In Bhagavad Gita 2:40, the Lord says, Swapam api asya dhamasya trayate mahoto bhayat. This Dharma, devotional service, is so important that even if performed to a very small, almost negligible extent, it can give one the supreme result. There are many instances in the history of the world in which even a slight service rendered to the Lord had saved a living entity from the greatest danger. Ajamil, for example, was saved by the Supreme Personality of Godhead from the greatest danger, that of going to hell. He was saved simply because he chanted the name Narayan at the end of his life. When Ajamil chanted this holy name of the Lord, Narayan, he did not chant knowingly. Actually, he was calling his youngest son, whose name was Narayan. Nonetheless, Lord Narayan took this chanting seriously, and thus Ajamil achieved the result of anti-Narayan Smriti, remembering Narayan at the end of life. If one somehow or the other remembers the holy name of Narayan, Krishna, or Ram at the end of life, he immediately achieves the transcendental result of going back home to Godhead. This is where the problem is. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually the only object of our love. As long as we are in this material world, we have so many desires to fulfill. But when one comes in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we immediately become perfect and fully satisfied, just as a child is fully satisfied when he comes to the lap of his mother. Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest to achieve some material result by austerity and penance. But when he actually saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he said, I do not want any material benediction. I am completely satisfied. Even if one wants some material benefit from serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this can be achieved extremely easily without hard labor. Therefore, the Shastras recommends, Akalma salva kamova moksha kamo udaradi tivrina bhakti yogina jayata purusham param. Whether one desires everything or nothing, or desires to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam 2:3-10. Even if one has material desires, one can.
So you gotta do something good, take it. I think that's where we need
Yeah. One can undoubtedly achieve what he wants by rendering service to the Lord. Prabhupada extensively gives purport. So many a times, whatever purport we be giving in return is just going round. He has said everything that has to be said. So, Om Agyanam Timrindasya Gyananjaya Salakaya Shakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I first of all offer my respectful obeisances to my Diksha Guru, Om Vishnu Parastotara Shushma Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, also to my Sannyas Guru, Om Vishnu Parastotara Shushma Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, and to my Siksha and instructing Guru, Om Vishnu Parastotara Shushma Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is the ripening fruit of the Vedic literatures. Ripening fruit in what sense? At the last stage of, Sri Vyasadev's compilation, this Srimad Bhagavatam, was revealed to him. He did not just write this down. This was revealed to him in Samadhi, when he was instructed by Sri Narada Muni to actually go deeper. So yesterday I was saying that when Lord Shiva said, Vyasadeva may know or may not know. But we know that Vyasadeva is the, literally incarnation of the Supreme. So why would he not know? So we understand that getting the knowledge of the Supreme on the highest platform, one has to be allowed inside the Leela. Just like Lord Shiva was allowed inside that Leela, as we were discussing last night, then he got to know. Other than that, he may not know. So in this case, we have service, Dharma, we have to perform to the Supreme Lord. But that Dharma in the material world has been so much contaminated. So we have Satya Dharma or Nitya Dharma. And that Nitya Dharma is the eternal occupational duty that we all living entities have towards the Lord. And what is that? Performing devotional service in total surrender to the Supreme. But unfortunately, when we come to the material world, because of our different desires and so forth, different dharmas are created in the form of what are the other dharmas? Nitya Dharma and but the Anitya Dharma they have in Kaitava and Namitika. That's it, Namitika. Namitika Dharma. In this form, Namitika Dharma, what is happening is that, for instance, the Brahmins in the world, even when you read the Bhagavatam, Krishna is saying they are my, devotees. But at the same time, because they have been designated with some identification in the Varnashram Dharma, they are thinking, oh, we are on top of the Varnashram Dharma. You follow me? So with that, they are limiting the other dharmas or the other personalities in the Varnashram Dharma. And because of this, they have, subscribed to themselves some activities that they perform. And even those activities will gradually bring them to the higher stage. But it is not, Nitya Dharma. And because of that, there is problem. If you go to India, people are saying, oh, I'm a Brahmin. I'm performing Dharma. I'm performing Nitya Dharma. No, it's Namitika Dharma. By performing the Sanjaya, Dharma of chanting our Gayatri mantras in the 3 junctions of the day. If it is not geared towards realization of the Supreme Lord, then it has no any significance. It should be geared. So as we chant, it should be geared towards realization of the Supreme. It should be geared towards relationship with the Supreme. But if it is not like that, then the Dharma that we are doing is unnecessary, how do you call it? Unnecessarily, putting too much stress on ourselves in the material world. The stress we are putting ourselves in is that we are forgetting the ultimate and just going to the temporary. And so, can you go down a little bit? So, Srila Prabhupada here is giving very, interesting aspect of this, that even the small amount of Nitya Dharma that we perform, devotional service to the Lord, that we perform even imperfectly, even in a small amount, or even in a joking mood, we get a result. And what is that? A Jamil, who was a Brahmin in his, life before he met, a prostitute and was contaminated. He became so enamored by this prostitute that he did everything to satisfy her, even robbing and killing. And, he had children. The fortunate thing is that he named the children, especially the last born, with the name of Narayan. And at the time of death, when he saw the Yamadutes approaching him, he became so fearful that what did he do? He called out. He saw his son walking by. So he thought his son could help him. Narayan! And at that time, the Lord in Vaikunta, oh, my devotee is calling me. Oh, at once go and see, help you, see what is happening. And because he called Narayana, so 4 devotees of the Supreme Lord from the Vaikunta came. And they all, stopped the Yamadutes. No, you cannot do that. Why? This person was so sinful. Yes, he was sinful. But at the end, he called on the name of the Lord. So now he's pure. The Yamadutes couldn't fathom out why this was so. They went back to Yamaraj. And Yamaraj said, the devotees of the Lord cannot be touched. We have another occasion where a Muslim went to the bush to eat himself. And we raised up his eyes, and coming towards him, running very fast, was this, boa. And the boa was coming fast. And he was, haram, haram, this is haram, But the boa was just after its food. And what did he do? He knocked him off from this and went for his food. And in that instance, because he was calling haram,
Is it Mara? Or is it
no, Mara is
another story?
another story of Lord Ramachandra.
Hanuman.
No.
No.
Lord,
The hunter.
yes, the person who actually wrote the Ramayana, yes, Valmiki, he was the one who he couldn't chant.
But this haram means because in this so what is not pure,
It's
so
called
in
haram.
Urdu they call it haram.
Oh.
And that's
So it's actually not a good word. So they call it haram impure, but it has ram in it. And ha means hay. So that's why even him saying haram,
It was not related to the animal. The animal's name was
not the name, but
okay.
in Islam, the pig or the boar is considered impure. They
Impure.
don't eat pork. That's the reason they don't eat pork.
Yeah,
So
coming
when
to
he
it,
was
say
hungry,
haram.
He said haram.
Oh, impure.
It's impure. That is
Yes.
like it's a dirty animal coming out.
Yeah.
But the word has haram.
Yeah.
So this is actually Urdu word haram.
Okay.
So when he was knocked off, he was killed, and he was at least saved by the Lord. And there was this, anyway, I won't go there. I wanted to say some joke, but I won't say it. Okay, so interestingly, each and every one of us performing devotional service, we have our own capabilities. We have our own levels. So we should not look at others and say, oh, we can be inspired by other people doing devotional service, but we should never be envious. We can be inspired, but never to be envious. Because the moment we are envious, that will take away on our progress on devotional service. So as each and every one of us, as we are performing devotional service, we have different abilities. And those abilities, as we see, we should, magnify by praising those abilities in each and every one of us. So sometimes when devotees were fighting, Srila Prabhupada himself would call the devotees together. Oh, can you, say something positive about your God brother? If only any small positive thing you can say about your God brother, and if you say those positive things, can you also say something? So these are what we should be saying, because we all came from different backgrounds. Trillions and millions of lives we have taken in this material world, and we have acquired different habits that will be very, annoying to each and every one of us. My habit, in fact, I may think I'm in the mode of goodness, but even my mode of goodness is annoying to somebody. Somebody's passion may be loving to somebody, then annoying to somebody else. You follow me? And somebody is in ignorance. But that ignorance to somebody is joy. But to somebody it's hell. So as we are, here together, we should realize that we've all come together as rough edges, just like you put rough stones into a basket, and you are shaking that. What happens? They will be making so much noise. But in making that noise, what is happening? They are making themselves smoother. Is it? They are making in the same way. As we come into devotional service, we come from different backgrounds with different attitudes, different attributes, different, calmness. So as we merge, there will be problems. In fact, not only here, even in India, there is problem, and what to talk about here. In India, I can just, because I'm maybe the temple president, and you do something very wrong, and I can give you a small slap, and that slap may lead me to the police, and may even, cost me my temple presidency. Is it true? Yes, it happens. So all these things are happening. So each and every one of us, lovingly, we should look at each other's faults. And he said, oh, this is from the previous life. Oh, look, even the one he has, look at the good qualities. Just look at the good, shine, let the good qualities shine through and diminish the bad qualities. Like that, what will happen is that you are building a bridge to his good or her good qualities. And if you actually shine on the bad qualities, you are also building a bridge to the bad qualities. And all those bad qualities will come to us. So we should be very careful how we deal with each other. We should deal with loving mood. Because devotional service is what? Love and trust. All of us came here with love and trust, not for you, not for anything, but we heard of Krishna. We heard a spiritual or somebody speaking about Krishna, and we are enthused to come and get that. So in that, it is not me, it is not you, it is for Krishna. And if Krishna is happy, everybody is happy. If Krishna is not happy, we also are not happy. So in the course of our service, we should realize that every morning, just as we are coming and doing the Bhagavatam, encourage those who are not here, because as we Nasta Prayeshu Abradeshu, why the Abradeshu will be cut to none if we listen, come and listen or perform. We can be performing service, but if we don't honor the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat, then our devotional service will not grow very well. So we should be very careful about this. We should always come to programs every morning and listen. That will make us grow. Because when we come in the morning, we are honoring who? The book Bhagavat. And as we also trying to, react nicely towards each other, we may, in fact, be honoring the person Bhagavat. Why? Gurudev is not here, but we are representing Gurudev, and Gurudev is the person Bhagavat. So, she is Gurudev's disciple, I should honor him. So we'll be respecting the person Bhagavat also. So I will end here and ask if you have questions, we can answer them after Prabhu has given his. He gives very wonderful lectures. That's why I want him to be here all the time. And so, Haribol.
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 Om Gyantimirandhasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikayai Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswaminiti Namine Shri Krishna Leela Kathane Sudaksham Adarya Madhurya Gunaisha Yuktam Varam Varenyam Purusham Mahantam Shri Narayanam Tvam Shirsa Namami Kridandinam Bhakta Shiro Manim Cha Shri Krishna Padabjadhritaye Khardi Chaitanya Leela Amritasara Saram Narayanam Tvam Satatam Prapadye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So first of all, I offer my unlimited obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of my most worshipable spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. My unlimited obeisances unto the divine lotus feet of our Rupanuga Guru Varga, and my humble obeisances to the lotus feet of Srila Bhaktivedanta Shanta Maharaj, and to all the assembled devotees. So such a beautiful verse here in this 8th canto, which is describing how glorious the seva is, the service. So it says activities dedicated to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because such activities is not karma. It is not just an ordinary action. So when the activity is performed not for our own personal sense enjoyment, but for gratifying the Supreme Lord, then the same kriya, the same action becomes seva. And even though externally it may seem to be the same thing, right? So right now, when Dhananjay Prabhu is cooking in the kitchen, so everyone cooks at home, but mostly people cook just to enjoy themselves. But what the devotees are cooking, they are cooking for the pleasure of the Lord. So the same activity, but the result is so different. One activity is binding. If one eats food, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that one who without offering, he eats papam, he is actually eating sin. So even though he may be eating vegetarian food, but he's still eating sin. But the same, if it is offered to the Lord, then it becomes a liberating activity. So that is the seva. So why does Krishna become so happy to see this? Because the reason we are bound in this world, right? What is the reason?
The hankering for material desires.
Because of being bahirmukh, because of being averse to the Supreme Lord, because of desiring to enjoy our own senses. As Srila Prabhupada would many times says, because of desire to lord it over the material nature. And it is very, very ingrained in all of us. So when one takes initiation, that does not mean one becomes perfect. It is starting of that journey to understand and reorient our mind and consciousness to serve Shri Krishna and not our senses. It takes a lot of time. I was hearing one lecture of Srila Prabhupada in which he said that one who takes initiation, he just took Harinam initiation yesterday, the day before yesterday. Now is Shyam Sundar Prabhu. Shyam Sundar Das ki jai.
Jai.
So, Srila Prabhupada very interestingly was saying, this was a couple of days ago, this lecture I heard, he said when one takes initiation, one should become very careful. Why? Because now the material energy is going to start, Maya is going to act with all its force. Because she's saying that someone is going away from my clutches, from my grip. And Maya, and in Srimad Bhagavatam there is a verse where it says that all the demigods, they also try all their powers to distract such an individual from the spiritual path. Because they feel that Indra starts thinking when someone is performing austerities, bhakti, that he starts thinking that this person will come and take my position. So they all become very, very anti that. But when they see that no, this person is really, really dedicated, so they are testing. So because many times when we are performing devotional service, it is still very external. Internally, we are not very clear why we are doing it, and internally the mood of dedication is not there. So these demigods and Maya is actually testing it. It is not putting obstacles, it is actually testing to see if we are really, really dedicated. But once they see that yes, this person is actually not only externally but internally also, then they actually completely remove all the impediments and they actually start supporting the devotional life of such a sadhaka. So, but even if we are performing externally, right, there's just externally also an activity like the example of Ajamil is given. He did not even chant the name Narayan with any mood of service to Lord Narayan. He was just calling the name of his son. So it was a very external chanting with no bhav, with no emotion. But even then he got benefited. So Krishna is so merciful because he's seeing that this particular individual is now becoming sanmukh. Sanmukh means becoming favorable to me. Instead of being very averse, he's becoming favorable, and he started his journey to come back to the spiritual world. He's always waiting. He's waiting for us to come. When the living entity will turn himself towards me, like Sanatana Goswami explains in Bhid Bhagavatam. So Krishna is waiting. When will this jiva turn towards me? But we turn towards him, but not fully turn towards him. We still hold on to so many of our desires, so many of our ideas, so many of our things that we still, and those come in the path of our being fully dedicated. So this is a whole process. Initiation means that we are starting on this process of slowly giving up all our ideas and moods. The real disciple is one who completely dedicates by his mind, by his words, internally, everything completely. Because now I'm not anything of my own. But as long as we keep clinging to our own ideas, our own way of doing things, then we don't get the full benefit of the devotional service. But Krishna is so merciful that even though we are not dedicated, we are still doing very little. He's saying activities performed even very little does not go in vain. Means whatever we do, even without a full heart in it, even that will be beneficial. That will help us make some progress in spiritual life. Like yesterday also I was quoting from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So there's a verse in the Ante Leela where the second time when Sri Rupa Goswami met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so Mahaprabhu is telling him that Ishvara Swabhav, this is the nature of the Supreme Lord, that Alpa Seva Bahulay, that if someone does very Alpa Seva, so here also the word is Swalpam Asi. So Alpa means very little, not even dedicated the whole life, day and night. But even if one does Alpa Seva, so he says Alpa Seva, so what he says, Ishvara Swabhav, Bhakter na lay aparad. So he does not take any offense of the devotee, but Alpa Seva Bahumane. But if someone does even little seva, Krishna thinks, so he has done something so big for me. Alpa Seva Bahumane, Atma Paryant Prasad, he gives himself completely to that individual. But the only thing he considers is that there should not be any offense in it. Okay? So many times we feel that we are doing seva, we are chanting, but we are still not getting the same benefit as the scripture says. Ajamil chanted one time and he got so much benefit, and we have been chanting every day 16 rounds for so many years, we still don't get this benefit, right? So why is that? Why is that?
I'm trying to figure that out myself.
That we have been chanting for so long.
Well, our goal is much higher. Srila Govinda Swami used to say, Ranga Vaikunta, what is the use? So our Guru Bhagat teaches the Guru Vrindavan and Raj Prem, and that is not so easily attained. So Jami could just chant Narayan once, but he had intensity with it. So there was a certain quality to his chanting, even though he was chanting the name of the sun. But there was no Raj Prem.
So there is.
So also, because maybe you can also explain what happened after him. He didn't go directly to Vaikuntha. He had to go to Haridwar and practice sadhana. So as Prabhu said, his goal was pure bhakti. And I think it was Namabhas, or what was it? Like out of inspiration.
Namabhas.
So it was not Sudana, it was not pure.
So very good points, and there's another point. So first thing is that our goal is very high. The goal is much higher than what Ajamil achieved. Ajamil just went to the Vaikuntha, and as Didi was saying, he did not directly go and within that, right after chanting the holy name, he actually had to go to Haridwar, where he performed austerities and bhajan for a very long time, and after that he achieved perfection. So many times when we say that he has gone back home, back to Godhead, it doesn't happen right after this life. So of course that is to encourage all of us. It is said, many times we say, oh, that devotee went back to Godhead. But as Gurudev explained, that we don't directly, after this body, we cannot directly. Of course, those who are Nitya Siddhas who have come, like our Acharya work, that's a different thing, because they've come from the spiritual world. But for all the other conditioned living entities, we don't directly, even if we come to the level of perfection, still after this life, we will not go directly to Golok Dham. Why? Because one time we have to go to that place where Krishna is performing his manifest pastimes in some universe, and there in the association of Nitya Siddha, the devotees, then completely we become purified. So it is like the apprenticeship, right? So we graduate from the college by reaching perfection to at least at that level. But then you have to go and get some training before you go to the spiritual world. So that's
And
one.
where do you get that training?
In Krishna's manifest pastime. Like even in the case of the gopis, those were Rishichari gopis, those were the
Sages.
Shrutichari gopis. So all of these were living entities that had reached that level of perfection, but then they came into Krishna Leela, and by the association of the Nitya Siddha gopis, they were completely perfected, and that's when they went back to the spiritual world.
And is that a material planet? Where
Yes, it is within this material world. It could be in any universe, but within the material world.
It's like when Krishna came here
Yes.
with his entourage,
Yes.
we would go to a planet elsewhere where Krishna is performing pastimes as
Yes.
he did here.
Yes.
And be trained up by the gopis.
By the gopis, if that's the mood. If the mood is of Sakha, so whichever the mood is, you will go and then get trained. And then find it. Prakat Vrindavan.
It's still Vrindavan in this.
Which universe? So that's why it's a manifest pastimes in this world, in Prakat Vrindavan. So that's one, the goal is very high. But there's another reason that also Shri Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains in Madhurya Kadambini. And he says, and he also gives the example of Ajamil. And he gives this during the discussion of Nam Aparadh. And to show that how the Nam Aparadh is so powerful. Any kind of offenses, there are 10 offenses against the holy name. And inattentive chanting is also one of the offenses. And all of us are, culprit when it comes to the inattentive chanting, Nam Aparadh. In some way or the other, we are committing. So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that someone like Ajamil, who even though was very sinful, very, very sinful, and was performing all kind of activities that were not in any form or fashion, right? They were not religious. But when he chanted, that chanting was without any offense. So he says that someone who chants without offense, he explains, this is in his discussion of the 9 stages, right? So, Ado Shraddha Tatha Sadhu Sang Bhajan Kriya Anarth Nivritti, then Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, Prem. So he's explaining all these stages, that we have to go through all these stages to get to the stage of Prem, which is the highest. But he says, for those who are not committing offense, and this was very interesting when I also read, very interesting, he said for them there are only 2 steps. He says Nam Grahan and Vaikuntha Arohan. He specifically mentions this, that for those who are chanting offenselessly, for them there are only 2 steps, chanting the holy name and going to Vaikuntha. They don't have to go through so many steps of getting to the stage of Bhav and Prem. So they develop it very fast. So the reason we have to even go to the stage of Bhajan Anarth Nivritti, because the Anartha is all the Nam Aparadh, all the different kind of offenses. So he also quotes the example of Ajamil. He says Ajamil chanted the holy name, and his next stage was he went to the Vaikuntha planets. So that is another reason why Ajamil, and same thing, Maharaja was giving the example of this Muslim who chanted Haram and then became, now they must have done some in their previous lives, some sukriti for sure, that they even got into the situation where they chanted Haram. And so the point here that is to be understood is that any activity, any devotional practice that is done without offenselessly, right? Because it's the offense that destroys the result of all that we can attain by performing seva. So that's why we should have to be very, very careful, very, very careful. If there's one thing we have to be very careful is to commit any kind of offense. And that's why we have to be always be very cognizant of how we conduct ourselves, how we behave, as Maharaj was also saying, whether it's associating dealing with the devotees, whether it's doing seva to the deities, whether it is cooking, any kind of service that we are doing, if we are very, very careful, then we will see the result, we will actually experience it. See, bhakti is one thing you will experience, and that experience comes in the form of anand. Right? When you start feeling that bliss within yourself, when you start experiencing that satisfaction, that happiness internally, that means what you're doing is right. But if by performing all of the services, it is just feeling very overwhelming, right? Many times when we are doing things externally, it feels very overwhelming. Oh, today it is my duty to go and do Mangalarti or to do the Bhogarti, right? It seems very overwhelming. And then there is no taste, there is no happiness, because it is being still, there is some offenses that are weighing down upon us. Because anything that we have done sinful, that all goes away. That by chanting of the holy name in the beginning, when one takes initiation, all the sins are gone away. We still have to suffer from some of our prarabdha karma, but it is the offenses that weigh down upon us. And knowingly or unknowingly, we are committing it all the time. No, yes, Steve.
Maybe you can explain what is the difference between sin and offense.
Yes. So, the Maharaj, I will say something first. You say first and then.
No. It's your turn.
Yeah. So, sin will not destroy your spiritual life. It is, a sin is something that, for example, killing an animal is a sinful activity. Stealing some money is a sinful activity. But it is a type of a karma, right? It is something performed in the mode of ignorance. But offense is when one commits something related to devotional practice. And it could be done out of, let's say, jealousy. Many times it is done out of inattentiveness, out of ignorance. But when it is related to devotional practice, then it becomes an aparadh. Right? So the 10 offenses against the holy name, there is seva aparadh, there is dham aparadh. So these offenses are much more powerful than the sinful activities.
So if a devotee kills an animal, then it's sin.
Yeah, but the question is, why would he kill an animal? Why would he kill an animal? Right? First of all, if it's a devotee, why would he kill an animal? See, this is another thing we have to be understood when we say a devotee. So a devotee also has some qualifications. Simply by wearing a tilak or devotional dress or taking initiation, we don't really become a devotee. That's again, we have to be actually following the mood of devotional service to be actually called a Vaishnava. So in fact, even Bhaktivedanta Thakur and in Madhurya Kadamini, the definition of Vaishnava they have given is very high. So we are not, I can't even call myself a Vaishnava right now, because that definition is a very high definition. But yes, your point is that if a devotee kills an animal, so the first question is, if he's a devotee, why would he kill an animal? If he's killing it intentionally, then how can we even call them a devotee?
But if you are driving a car,
And yeah,
and
by
suddenly,
mistake it happens.
So I think that the sin is done by someone who is ignorant, and the devotee knows more. So once you have knowledge, you cannot do it anymore. So
Now-
that's why when devotees they become weak, then they cannot really fall down. I mean, because they know that they are doing wrong.
Yeah.
But sometimes devotees think, no, I wish I didn't know all these things, because then I have a more easy life.
yeah, now you have come
We
to the
have
mode of
knowledge,
goodness.
Now we have the knowledge,
Yes.
we cannot do it anymore.
But now, to your example, if in the practice of a regular seva, you may unknowingly do things. So, like in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, in one of the commentaries, it explains where he is explaining about the karma. So in the commentary, Sri Gurudev explains that actually it's a commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, where he says the 5 kind of sins that no householder can become free of. So he says when you are grinding, in the old days they used to grind in the mortar the wheat. So some insects are going to get killed. when you're cooking, some insects are going to naturally get killed. And then when you're brooming, then he says, then brooming, and then with the pestle, when you are doing it, and there's one more thing, 5 things, and I think he says 5 things, panch suno. He says these 5 sins, that so you're not actually intentionally killing someone, but you're still ended up doing killing. So he's giving this example to say that if one is not dedicating his actions to the Supreme Lord, then even though one may be performing non-violence, right? You are not actually going killing animals, but still you will suffer from these 5 sins. And therefore he says, but if one is doing devotional practice, now we are cooking for Thakurji Bhog. So in that activity, if the same 5, now you're brooming, thinking that this house belongs to the Lord, and you're brooming the house and doing all those, if those 5 sins get performed, then you don't get any reaction. So no reaction, and actually those living entities get benefited because it is being done unknowingly. So knowingly and unknowingly, there's a big difference. So one other point, so I think what the mood of the seva, see the point here again is seva is so powerful, and the point of seva is that it is not external, it is internal. The internal mood has to be right. So we may be externally doing things, but internally if we are not dedicated, right, that's where most of our problems comes, because internally we are not dedicated. Internally, if the mood is of surrender to Guru and Krishna, then you will experience yourself that how actually by performing seva you will feel desire to perform even more service. Then you will never feel this kind of impediment, like coming to Mangal Arati is a problem, listening to Bhagavatam class it is a problem, or doing the seva is all of this will go away. So I can certainly say, so I was initially initiated by Shri Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj in ISKCON, and a very, very, I would say, an amazing personality. And I've seen him personally, that how he was literally seva personified. He was completely 24 hours. It is amazing, even to his last day. And I don't know how many of you may not have known him or seen him, but he has done amazing service to Srila Prabhupada, the immense amount of preaching that he has performed. And he was, for him, it was a routine thing that he would come, like from an international flight, he has come and he has reached the temple at 2 in the morning and taken rest at 3 o'clock. And he, before everyone, he would be there at Mangal Arati and 4:30, and not just attending. Mostly any temple, anywhere in the world, he would actually go on the altar and perform on the altar. And even in his advanced age, I one time saw him in Baltimore. He was very advanced, he was almost 79 years old. And he had come the night before from India, and then when he came, there was a big program and so many devotees meeting him. And then he went to take rest very late in the night, but in the morning he was there again on the altar. And this is when he was suffering from some issues where his, there was some sensory, there was some health issues also. So, but day and night he was serving. His only mood was, how can I serve my Gurudev? How can I serve him? Day and night. And the result, you see what he did. And this is to show that the power is not in us. The power is in the mood of service to Guru and Krishna. When I joined ISKCON in 1985-86, there was one small temple in Delhi, in one house. Just one small house in one, it was literally a house, rented house, or maybe they bought it later on. Very small. The temple room was even smaller than this room. Greater Kailash, yes, part 1. And actually the temple room was, in terms of space, was probably just barely this much. But from there, almost single-handedly, with so many, and I don't want to go into detail, with so many obstacles and so many things, he built it out where now they have close to about 20 temples in Delhi alone. and they are so huge you can't even imagine. So huge. The last temple he got constructed, they built at spent almost like $30 million to build, and this is in US dollars. You go and see that temple, is amazing. So how he inspired, there were like literally hundreds. The last time he did initiation, he was like 10,000 people in the initiation. So, but his mood still did not change. Even after building these huge temples and having so many disciples, he was still, I saw him still, Mangal Aarti, never in his life he would miss.
Yes.
Never missed it, and he was always on the altar himself unless the health would not permit it. So this shows that how powerful the mood of seva is. And same thing we see with our Guru Varga. Like Shri Gurudev, because his seva was to spread. So every acharya comes to perform a specific service. Gurudev came to specifically show the world, explain to the world what the real Gauriya Siddhanta is. If Gurudev had not come, then in some form or reason, the world would not have understood what Braj Bhakti is, what Mahaprabhu actually came to give. Right? So, and I've seen in Gurudev the same mood. Gurudev was always engaged. One time, we were in New Jersey, and Gurudev there was a big festival at Lake Washington. So, Shri Gurudev from Lake Washington, he had a flight in the evening from the Newark airport. So we requested him, because just coming straight from Lake Washington and going to the airport, to come and stay at our place, and I had just a small townhouse, and we were a small group of devotees, and to come and then take some rest and then go to the airport in the evening. So Shri Gurudev. So the festival ended the night before. Early in the morning, next day 6 o'clock, and Vrinda Didi, Brajnath Prabhu came. I think you were not there that time. You probably went straight to the airport. So Brajnath Prabhu and that time Madhav Maharaj. So they came from Lake Washington, almost 3.5 hours drive. And there were two other devotees who said, please Gurudev also come to our house. How many times he will come to New Jersey. So he first went to Vinay Krishna Prabhu's house, and there was another one of our congregation members whom we were preaching to. Then he went to their house, and then he came to our house. And so by the time he reached to our place, it was about 10:30. So he had taken, of course, some pressure. He took a little bit at these homes, and when he came to our house, again there was a group of devotees. And then at 10:40, he went upstairs into the bedroom where we had made some time for him to take the rest. And I thought he will take some rest. He sat for 5-10 minutes, and then he called Madhav Maharaj, bring the books. I want to do the editing. And Madhav Maharaj said, we have come after such a long, because normally Gurudev will do massage around 12 o'clock, and then he will take shower, and then he will take his prasad. So there was still 1 hour in between. But instead of taking rest, he said, I have so much seva to do, I can't waste this 1 hour. And I was standing there and I was like amazed. And Gurudev at that time was close to about 80 years old. This is 2003. So more than 80 years old. So at that point, since morning traveling, coming, and he has a flight in the evening to catch, what is he saying? That 1 hour, so precious, because he was editing how many books he wrote, just like Swami Prabhupada. So these acharyas have establishing how seva is so important. So Gurudev said that when you are in the mutt, when you are in a community, then why do we have to sit idle? We should be day and night serving. Day and night, there is no dearth of service that can be performed. Right? No dearth of service. So one human life, Shri Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada will say, dedicate one life completely to Guru and Krishna, and then you see how wonderful it is. So that if someone is here, it is saying someone does little bit, so much benefit is there. And someone who does completely dedicates from the heart, then we have to take faith in the words of Guru and Krishna. Why would they not recognize such a devotee and completely give themselves to such a person? So just praying at the lotus feet to give us the same mood, that we can also serve them with the same enthusiasm, love and affection. Gaur Premanand.
Haribo.
I'm thinking of Uma Didi also.
Uma Didi, yeah, all the time. Amazing person. She was in Navadvip, and in Navadvip, of course, there are other cooks who are cooking in the big kitchen, and Uma Didi's room will be like a big kitchen. The room where she's staying is like a big kitchen. It's like people going in and out, and how many things she would cook. Amazing. Yeah.
So Lord Ram was in exile and he visited different ashrams. One of them had 60.
Who was in exile?
Lord Ram.
Lord Ram.
Ram.
So one ashram had 60,000 saints. And somehow they had conjugal feelings towards him. Then he fulfilled their desire in Krishna Lila.
Rishichari gopis.
Vishnu
They were
Chari.
the Rishichari. They're in the Dandakaranya forest. He saw them.
So we are in this particular Sangha and with the goal of Braj Prem. So would it be likely that as a whole we sort of go to one of the road shows that Krishna performs and as a whole the Sangha of gopis there, we take gopi bodies. Is it something like a sort of a joint effort? You know what I'm saying? Like in the case of Ajambi, he was all by himself. I did hear that Narada Muni had shown up when his latest or last son was born, encouraging him to give the name Narayan to his son, but I'm not so sure about that. But in any case, it was kind of like an isolated case, just that one devotee or that one person who had been a pious Brahmana and then fell down. In our situation, we are a Sangha, and these 60,000 rishis, they were a Sangha, very strong Sangha. And they all together became gopis in a particular Krishna Lila. Matter of fact, in this particular roadshow, 5,000 years ago. Which is kind of interesting because a lot of things must have happened because Lord Ram came, what, how many millions of years ago?
He came in, but not in this cult. He was in the previous cycle. This is the 28th, right? He came in the 25th. Yeah, he came 3 or 4 kalpas before this.
So 3
not
or 4
in this,
kalpas.
yeah.
So one kalpa is 4.3 million years.
Actually, yeah, but then in the same it is the night
Day
time,
and
so you
night.
have to double it.
8.6.
So 8.64.
4.
So kalpa is a yuga cycle.
No, one day. Wow,
One day,
1,000 cycles of 4 yugas.
Then how come?
No, it's the 71.
No,
71 is one Divya Yuga, the 71 Divya Yuga.
Yugas. So that is
Yeah. And that is the day of
one Lord Brahma. But one kalpa
Says
is
1,000.
And one Divya Yuga.
no, one
is
kalpa
4
is the
billion
day of Brahma, or one kalpa is not the 4 yugas.
One kalpa is 1 day.
1 day, yes.
Of Lord
1 day is
Brahma.
of Lord Brahma. 1 day of Lord Brahma.
And
So he
the
came in a
day and
different
the night.
different cycle of yugas, not this cycle
So
of
in a
yugas.
different day of Brahma.
No, in the same day of Brahma, this day of Brahma, but in a different cycle, because there are 1,000 cycles of Chaturayugis.
But there's 14.
14 Manus.
Manus. In
14
one.
So this happened 2 Manus before.
Before.
Now we are Vaishvata
Manu.
Manu. Before there was the 5th Manu.
Hmm.
Right, now we are the 7th Manu.
So,
So quite a few years,
yes.
quite a few million years. And they just happened to come in this particular appearance of Lord Krishna 5,000 years ago as gopis.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things, a lot of time and likely a lot of individual ways with each one of those 60,000. They may not always have been in the same sangha in the next life.
One thing you are
Inconceivable.
Yeah,
one
it
thing
is-
you are doing though,
Mhm.
you are measuring time according to our human time
Right.
measurement now.
Right, I get that.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
But that time measurement, wherever they may be, may have been different. See, they may not be in this universe. They may be they might have gone to another place where the time duration will only be just a tiny one compared to what we have now. So it's taking since Lord Ram's episode and Lord Krishna coming 5,000 years ago. You know, it might have been long.
But from their perspective,
Yes, it is like this.
got it.
But it's not the thing. Like if you do something together, like Prabhupada said, we fly our own plane ultimately. So what does the sangha mean? I mean, is it everyone who's so much like-minded and so with the same endeavor that is called the sangha, and then you get like a karma together, like a good karma or something together,
Yes.
or is it really an individual effort of each person? in
Yes,
a-
Sangha just means an association of devotees, right? Where we are helping each other and performing devotional service. But that does not lead to, that helps inculcate that one mood. So there is certainly some relationship. That is without, nothing happens without a reason. Because we have in our asthai bhav, in our constitution, that mood is there of Manjari bhav. We have not realized it, but it must be there. Otherwise, why would we have come? We could have gone to any of the other sampradayas, and we would have today. I can say for sure, to whatever level we may be, but most of us will not have much interest in hearing Katha of Lord Narayana, right? All being part of those rituals and elaborate. At the same time, those who are performing Lakshmi Narayan Puja, they don't have much interest in hearing the kind of Hari Katha we are listening. Nothing against them, nothing against it, but this is because the mood of that, the constitution position of those living entities is like that. So there is a reason why we are in a sangha like this. There's a reason also why we came into contact with Shri Gurudev, because some place there is that association in the spiritual world. But at the same time, to your point, we may not all go there at the same time. We may all still reach at different times, because that depends on our individual things. So yes, we are in a sangha because there is some association, but at the same time we have to fly our own plane. And why those rishis were together, think of like, there may be in a like a university, there are students who come, but they come from different schools and different places, but they all come finally they come to one, and there's a graduating class. But they were not always together there, but they still went through the same study process, but they still came from different schools. So we may all go different ways. Some will go very fast, some may take many more lifetimes. So that's completely an individual effort, completely individual.
I know
Yeah,
it's
let me
individual,
just,
it's just unusual that it happens to be 60,000.
So we will also be
And then all 60,000 showed up in Krishna Lila.
Did they say all 60,000 showed up?
Well, see, that kind of details we don't know.
We
At
don't
the end of
know.
the day, it is achintya, it's inconceivable. So, but it does say that now, so those details, who knows, right? They may all have come, but if Lord Ram has said, they must have all come. And see, again, as Maharaja was saying, during that whole time, they might have just continued performing bhajan in some form or fashion, in some place, right? They might have continued doing that.
But they all have the same goal.
But they all had the same goal, so the desire was the same, so they must have also come, because the Lord's words never go in vain.
And let me point out something, because even among the gopis, there are different groups, you follow me, performing service. So even within our group now, in the Gaudiya mat, not all Gaudiya mat, devotees are inclined towards even reading Gurudev's books. It is true. So we are reading, so Gurudev books are giving us inspiration, but we have different, desire, not desire, the strength to do those things, we are different. So somebody may qualify now, somebody may, take 10 lifetimes, somebody may take 20 lifetimes, but we are within the same boat of Gurudev. So, when we are reading his books and, deliberating on these books, it's, joy to us. But somebody, after, there was, I don't want that.
So in the eternal world, we are all Rupa Nugas,
Yes.
all the Gaudiyas.
Yes.
But even Rupa Manjari, she also has her. So in that, we are also in
Different
groups.
groups.
Yes.
We have, but there's a very beautiful thing. That was in LA, in the Rose Temple. And there was one Basanti's mother came to visit. And Gurudev was speaking to her mother. And the mother was a little bit concerned about her daughter. And then Gurudev said, she's also my daughter, and I will take her back to Godhead. So then
This was
later,
right in the assembly.
and then later
temple was
Gurudev
packed.
told that in the temple that the mother came and I told that I will take Vasanti back to Godhead. Then later Gurudev went back to Goswami's house where he was staying. Then I asked Bhajana Prabhu, can you ask Gurudev if he can also take all of us back? So then Bhajana Prabhu went inside and he said, Vrinda Didi is asking if you can also take her back. And I said, wait a minute, that's not my question. I said, everyone, not me. And then Gurudev said, I will take her and everyone else back to Godhead. So that means he will be there for all of us to wait. But as you said, it's our own individual effort. We're going to make it out there. So we'll be there in one group.
Yes.
That's under his guidance.
Because, especially those, because that attachment, see, that's why that attachment to Guru, right? We are worshipping him in that mood, we are desiring for that service. And therefore that mood will become strengthened, and then we will go in his group only, in Raman Manjari's group to do our seva. Gurudev said the same thing. He was, I think it was 1995 or 94, he was at our home in New Delhi, and it was, so Gurudev many times, after taking rest, his afternoon rest, he would just come out of his room and just sit someplace, and most of the people will be just taking rest. So he was sitting outside the room, we had like a cot, he was sitting on it, and I came out of the other room, and it was a little bit, getting kind of evening time, and I just seeing him, I paid obeisances. And Gurudev, all I paid was just paid obeisances. I didn't ask any question. And Gurudev said, coming and going, I will take each one of you with me. Going. So he just said it out of like,
Wow.
he just said that.
So you mean coming?
He said,
coming
anyone who has
again,
come in
coming
my
again.
shelter, I will take them with me. Yes, that,
So that's why Guru is Janma, Prabhu say,
Right.
is your Lord life.
Right.
And then be sure you get there.
And
No. This Jabi
Right.
this song by Lochan Das Thakur is very, very, very deep. It says, Kejabi ba Baba Sindhupa Danya Keli Yogala Chaitanya Bata Chaitanya Bata. Who will go? Who will go? Oh, brothers, across this ocean of material existence, This age of Kali is blessed due to the descent of Sri Chaitanya. Now, he says, I'm not going to sing, I'll just read. A free ferry boat operates at the port of my Goranga. Even the old and blind and the crippled are crossing over. I don't have the desire, how can I cross over? Harinam is the boat. Sri Guru is the helmsman, and the upraised arms of the Sankirtan party are the oars. All jivas are crossing over by favorable winds of praying. Only Lochan Das, due to his own fault, has been left behind.
He missed the boat.
Of course, he didn't miss it. He just came out.
He's telling us that is what we should be thinking. I'm missing the boat. I am missing the boat. I should go into the boat. Guru Dev is in the boat. He's ready, and all the Sankirtan party with the raised hand, the oars. But we are unfortunate.
If you're on the boat, don't jump off the boat.
Man, some people are jumping off. It's time, this is waste of time. Yes, some people are doing this.
Hare Krishna, Gaur Premanand.
Very good.
Jai Ho, Vanchakapatu.